think the story would be anywhere near as effective if it was set in Los Angeles. With everything else going on that went on in the story, across the Potomac. And you see Georgetown across the Potomac. You see a couple of spires, and you see a dark building, which is a portion of the university at one end. And it appears from that aspect and in a gray morning light to look like a kind of prison or forbidding place. And over at the other end of the frame, the camera starts to move away from that forbidding image on the left into a flight of stairs and a house that appears to be next to that long flight of steps.
A lot of people may or may not realize they built an extension onto that house. They needed that in order to bring the room close to the stairs, so when the body comes out, the stuntman comes down. Billy Friedkin had me there the night that they did the stunt fall down the stairs. All those stairs were padded with just the smallest amount of padding. That have become so famous. People bring me pictures of the stairs to sign. That's how famous those stairs are. People travel around the world to see those stairs. And they're only, they're literally not wide at all.
Town was as rich an environment to photograph as the Iraqi desert. The campus itself is a Jesuit campus, and so there is an air of religiosity about it, where there is a tradition of Catholic belief and teaching, which is inherent in the very structure of the buildings themselves as you get closer, and in the hallways and in the chapel and everywhere that we film. Everything that appears in front of the camera is suggestive of a kind of religiosity and a belief that is going to hang over the entire film. The whole town sort of revolves around Georgetown University.
And we had other locations in Manhattan that were terrific.
You're hopping all overboard.
Father Karras, Waiting for the Subway in New York, was set there by Blatty, and so I shot there. Blatty set Father Karras's visit to his mother somewhere in Manhattan, and we picked a street to shoot there.
Mama?
The mother's apartment was in that building. It wasn't a set.
The mother's house was tricky to shoot in because that was all live, and the hospital and the asylum. So we had our share of moving around. And we shot the interiors of The Exorcist on the old Fox stages on 54th Street and 10th Avenue in Manhattan. They're no longer there, but they had two big stages and utilized the whole place. The only thing that was done in that studio, to my recollection, was maybe some other little bits and pieces and the interior of the house.
The house we used in Georgetown for the exterior, the rooms were much too small to light and film. So I knew in order to achieve the kind of movement I had to achieve, I built a 3-story house for all intents and purposes, as a practical house in New York City. I did that because, A, I didn't want to be too close to Hollywood, and also we had shot so much in Georgetown and New York, I felt that the set ought to be built on the East Coast, or we would have had to have 2 crews. Everyone told me there's no way you'd ever be able to film in Iraq, because even then, the U.S. had no diplomatic relations with Iraq. Wanted to do, never thinking he'd allow us to go to Iraq and film. And they imposed certain conditions, but they invited us over. So all of this archaeological history and magic was right at my fingertips when I shot that opening prologue. I felt in many ways when I made the film like a landscape painter. And I was very conscious of approaching the Exorcist film in that way, with a kind of painter's eye, all of which was provided for by Blatty in his screenplay. I mean, I didn't invent any of this, but he had given me a roadmap and a place in which to make shots like this. And when I saw it, it took my breath away.